The morning bell rang through the marble halls of Ridgeway International Academy, a school where every student's uniform cost more than an average month's salary. Luxury cars lined up outside, chauffeurs in black waited with polished shoes, and golden sunlight spilled across the glass facade like a spotlight. Inside, Adrian Cole, the only son of billionaire industrialist Marcus Cole, sat slouched in his leather seat. His math paper lay on the desk, a storm of red marks. A giant 32% was circled at the top in crimson ink. He stared at it in silence. His classmates didn't. "Wow, Cole, failed again," sneered Derek, the top student and son of a senator. "Guess money doesn't buy brains." Laughter erupted around them. Adrian forced a smirk. "Maybe I just don't like showing off," he muttered. But his voice cracked. He turned the paper face down, hiding it like a wound. He wasn't dumb. He just couldn't focus. Every time he tried to study, the numbers blurred together. His father's voice echoed in his head. "I built an empire at your age, and you can't even pass basic calculus?" That night, Marcus's driver dropped Adrian home to a palatial mansion overlooking the city. Inside, crystal chandeliers glowed above marble floors, but the air was cold, the kind of silence that came from disappointment. At the dining table, Marcus barely looked up from his laptop. "So, did you pass?" Not quite." His father's sigh was heavier than words. "You're meeting a private tutor tomorrow. Someone new. Don't waste my time again." The next afternoon, Adrian sat waiting in the family library, a vast room with shelves of unread books and the faint scent of old paper. He expected a middle-aged teacher in a suit. Instead, the door opened, and a girl stepped in. She looked about his age, wearing a modest gray dress and a clean apron over it. Her hair was tied back neatly, her eyes calm but sharp. "Good afternoon. I'm Elena. Mr. Cole hired me as your new study assistant." Adrian blinked. "Wait, study assistant? Not a teacher?" She smiled faintly. "No, my mother works here as a maid. I help part-time, but I'm good with numbers." He nearly laughed. "A maid's daughter? My dad's serious about this?" Her expression didn't change. "You can laugh if you like, but I promise I'll help you understand what your teachers couldn't." There was something about her tone, firm, unshaken. He hesitated. "All right then, Elena, impress me." They sat across the grand oak table. She looked at his failed paper, then at him. "You're not stupid," she said after a pause. "You just never learned how to see patterns. Math isn't about numbers, it's about rhythm, like music." Adrian frowned. "Rhythm?" Elena took a pencil and started tapping a pattern on the table. "Listen. 2, 4, 8, 16. Doubles." "Exactly. Your brain noticed the beat before the logic. That's how I'll teach you." Adrian leaned closer, intrigued by himself. For the first time, someone wasn't calling him lazy. Someone believed he could get it. That night, after she left, he caught himself replaying her rhythm in his mind. 2, 4, 8, 16, and smiled without meaning to. For the first time, he opened his math book willingly. But not everyone was happy about it. The next morning, Derek and his friends saw Elena walking through the campus garden with Adrian. "Hey, Cole, didn't know we could bring our maids to school now." Derek's jaw tightened, but Elena touched his arm gently. "Don't," she whispered. "Let them waste their breath." That quiet strength, calm in the storm, stunned him. He didn't know it yet, but Elena's way of thinking would change not just his grades, but his entire life.
Days passed, and what started as awkward tutoring sessions soon turned into something much more. Elena's methods weren't anything Adrian had ever seen before. No boring lectures, no endless formulas. Instead, she'd ask questions like, if a company doubles its profits every quarter, how many times do you have to double before it becomes 8 times richer? Or she'd tell him to imagine every number as a story. Each problem has a rhythm, she'd say. You just have to listen for it. And slowly, something inside Adrian clicked. One afternoon, as the golden sunlight poured through the tall library windows, he solved the problem faster than she could write the next one. He blinked, shocked. Wait, I got it? Elena grinned. You did? You're seeing the rhythm now. He felt his chest tighten, but not with fear this time, with pride. It was the first time he'd ever felt smart. That evening, his father passed by the study room and noticed him bent over his notes, not his phone. Marcus Cole paused, surprised. New tutor working? Adrian nodded. Yeah. She's different. Different how? Adrian thought for a second. She doesn't teach me numbers. She teaches me to see. Marcus raised an eyebrow, but said nothing. For first time, he didn't scold. He simply watched his son, and almost smiled. At school, word spread quickly. The billionaire's dumb son was suddenly scoring better on surprise quizzes. Even the teachers were confused. Derek, his longtime rival, didn't like that one bit. During lunch one day, Derek and his friends cornered Elena near the courtyard while she waited for Adrian. So, you're the genius Maid everyone's talking about? Elena didn't answer. She just packed her books quietly. He grabbed one from her hands, her math notebook, flipping through it. These your miracle notes, or did you just cheat for him? Adrian arrived just in time. Give it back, Derek. Derek smirked. Oh, relax, Cole. I just want to see if your new tutor knows her place. Elena looked straight into Derek's eyes, calm, confident. Do you want to test me, Derek? She asked softly. Ask me anything. He laughed. Fine. If you're such a genius, what's the answer to this? He scribbled a messy equation on the board nearby, one even their teacher struggled with. Elena took a glance, then wrote the answer in seconds. X equals 3, square root of 2. Derek froze. The onlookers murmured in disbelief. She didn't even use a calculator. Adrian's lips curved in pride. Guess you picked the wrong target, genius. The crowd burst out laughing, this time not at Adrian, but at Derek. Later that afternoon, as they walked home, Adrian finally said what had been sitting in his heart for weeks. How did you do that? Just see the answer. Elena smiled. Because I don't see numbers as walls. I see them as doors. He frowned, puzzled. She explained. Most people panic when they see a formula. I don't. I listen to what it's trying to tell me. Every problem has a voice, if you're patient enough to hear it. That sentence stayed with him. Every problem has a voice. He looked at her, a strange kind of respect forming in his chest, one he hadn't felt for anyone before. The next test came 2 weeks later, the advanced calculus exam, the one he always failed. As he sat there, heart pounding, he remembered Elena's voice in his head. Listen for the rhythm. The numbers didn't blur this time. They danced. He started seeing patterns, sequences, The rhythm she'd promised was there. His hand moved faster than ever before. When the results came out, he stared at the sheet, unable to breathe. 89%. Not perfect, but for him, it was like climbing a mountain. He rushed home, practically ran into the mansion. "Dad, look!" Marcus turned from his laptop, his usual cold expression fading for a brief moment as he took the paper. There was a pause, then a quiet chuckle. "Finally, you did it." Adrian smiled. Not alone. That evening, Marcus called for Elena. She entered nervously, hands clasped. "Sir?" Marcus stood from his chair. "I owe you thanks. My son's changed." She bowed slightly. He just needed to believe he could. He nodded slowly. "You're wise beyond your years." But Derek wasn't done yet. That night, he posted on social media. "Adrian's only passing because the maid's daughter does his homework." It spread through school like wildfire. By morning, everyone was whispering. Elena kept her chin high, but Adrian saw the hurt behind her calm eyes. He clenched his fists. "He's not getting away with this." Elena shook her head. "Don't fight him with anger. Fight him with truth." Adrian didn't understand what she meant then, but he soon would.
The next few days were brutal. Whispers followed Elena everywhere she went, down the hallway, through the cafeteria, even in the library where she used to find peace. "She's just the maid's daughter. Probably did all his work for him. Gold digger." Each word felt like a pin in her chest. But still she showed up. Still she smiled when she saw Adrian, even though he could see her hands trembling slightly as she turned the pages of her notebook. "Why aren't you saying anything?" Adrian finally burst out one afternoon. "They're lying about you, about us." Elena looked up, calm but firm. "If I fight every rumor, I'll never have time to prove them wrong." Her eyes softened. Let the truth speak louder than words. 2 weeks later, the annual Academic Innovation Fair arrived, the biggest school event of the year. Students from elite families displayed robots, coding projects, inventions, even prototypes funded by their parents' companies. Elena had signed both of them up quietly. When Adrian saw their names on the list, he blinked. "Wait, we're presenting?" She smiled. "You said you wanted to show them you can do it. This is your chance." He hesitated. "What if I mess it up?" "Then you'll learn," she said simply. "That's what real intelligence is." For 3 nights straight, they worked together in the school lab after hours. While others brought flashy machines, Elena and Adrian built something different, something simple but powerful. They called it the Learning Light. It was a small digital board that changed color depending on how well someone was understanding a topic. It used voice input and emotion recognition, something Elena had designed with recycled parts. "Students will use this to track how confident they feel while studying," she explained. Adrian added features to make it interactive: questions, flashcards, timers. For the first time, he was leading the coding. He wasn't just following her instructions anymore. He was building something and believing in it. On the big day, the gym buzzed with excitement. Tables lined with projects, banners, and judges walking around with clipboards. Derek's team had built a robotic arm with expensive materials. When he spotted Adrian and Elena setting up their tiny project, he laughed. "That's cute. Is it a nightlight for dumb kids?" Adrian didn't reply. He just glanced at Elena, who gave him a small, steady nod. "Let the truth speak," she whispered. When the judges reached their table,
Adrian started explaining. His voice shook at first, but then he remembered Elena's lessons. He spoke clearly, passionately, showing how the learning light could help students manage anxiety and improve confidence while studying. The light flickered from blue to gold as he spoke, reading his excitement, reacting to his tone. When he finished, there was silence. Then one of the judges, a university dean, leaned in. "This is brilliant," he said softly. "You built this yourselves?" Elena nodded. "From recycled circuits and old voice chips." Another judge smiled. "You've combined emotional intelligence with technology. That's real innovation." Derek, standing nearby, clenched his jaw. When the results were announced, Derek's name came up second place. And first, Adrian Cole and Elena Reyes for The Learning Light. The crowd gasped. Adrian froze for a second, then looked at Elena, who was smiling, eyes glistening with tears she refused to let fall. The applause was real this time, not out of fear of his last name, but out of respect. Derek stormed out of the hall, but karma wasn't done yet. Later that evening, the teachers discovered that Derek's robotic project wasn't even fully his. It had been bought online and reassembled. He was disqualified and suspended for academic dishonesty. Meanwhile, the school newspaper featured Adrian and Elena's invention with the headline, "The billionaire's son learns from the maid's daughter and changes the school." That night, as the sun set over the city skyline, Adrian and Elena sat on the school steps, the golden trophy between them. He turned to her quietly. "You know, I used to think you were teaching me math." Elena smiled. "And now?" He looked down, a soft laugh escaping. "You taught me how to see myself differently. That's the real secret, isn't it?" She nodded gently. It always was. They sat there in silence for a moment, watching the sky fade into stars. Two worlds that were never meant to meet, but somehow fit perfectly together.
The next morning, the entire school buzzed with chatter about the academic fair results. Every hallway echoed with whispers. "Did you hear? Adrian actually won. The maid's daughter helped him build it. They beat Derek's project with scrap parts." For the first time in his life, Adrian didn't hide behind his father's name. He walked through the halls with quiet confidence, carrying the trophy himself. And right beside him, Elena. When he reached his car, his father's black Rolls-Royce was already parked there. Adrian's chest tightened. He hadn't told his father anything about the fair. Mr. Cole stepped out, tall, poised, and intimidating in his navy suit. The crowd went silent. Even teachers paused mid-step. "Father," Adrian said carefully, "what are you doing here?" Mr. Cole's eyes scanned the scene, the trophy in Adrian's hands, Elena standing beside him, wearing her worn-out uniform and carrying her old notebook. "I got a call from the principal. They said my son finally achieved something on his own." He paused. "I had to see it to believe it." Adrian swallowed hard. "I didn't do it alone." He turned toward Elena. "She taught me everything I'd forgotten, how to think, how to believe in myself." Elena tried to step back, uncomfortable under Mr. Cole's piercing gaze, but Adrian reached out and gently took her wrist. "Don't go." Mr. Cole's eyes softened slightly as he looked at her. "You're the maid's daughter, aren't you?" Elena nodded silently. "Yes, sir." He studied her for a long moment. "You helped my son pass his exams." Elena hesitated. "He passed because he worked hard, sir. I just reminded him what he was capable of." That line hit him. It was the same phrase Adrian's late mother used to say. Remind people what they're capable of. A flicker of emotion crossed his face, gone as quickly as it came. Later that day, Mr. Cole invited both of them to his company headquarters. It was a towering glass building overlooking the city, a place that screamed wealth and control. When Elena stepped inside, her heart pounded. She had seen this building countless times while accompanying her mother to work, but never from this close. In his office, Mr. Cole sat behind his desk, tapping a pen against a folder. "Elena, my son tells me you helped create a learning device." "Yes, sir," she said politely. "It's designed to help students understand their learning emotions. We used recycled tech." He raised an eyebrow. "Do you have plans to continue developing it?" Elena's eyes brightened. "If we had proper tools, yes. It could help schools where students struggle or feel invisible." Mr. Cole leaned back, thoughtful. "Invisible. That's an interesting word." He looked out the window. "I built an empire, but maybe I forgot what that felt like." Then, without warning, he turned to Adrian. "Son, what do you think of her idea?" Adrian didn't hesitate. "It's worth everything. She believed in it before anyone else did." Mr. Cole nodded slowly. "Elena, I want to fund your project, personally. Full scholarship, full support. But on one condition." "Condition?" "You must be the lead developer. I'll provide the resources, but you run it. My son can assist, but I want this to be yours." For the first time, Elena couldn't speak. Tears filled her eyes as she whispered, "Sir, I don't know what to say." Mr. Cole smiled faintly. "Say yes." Adrian grinned. "You heard him." Months passed. The Learning Light project grew beyond the school, becoming a full program tested in dozens of institutions. Students who once felt lost now had a tool that understood them. In every article, the headlines read, "From Maid's Daughter to Innovator, How One Girl Changed Education." Elena became a symbol of hope, not just for the poor, but for anyone who ever felt underestimated. And Adrian? He wasn't the spoiled heir anymore. He was her partner, his biggest supporter, and the one who finally learned what success truly meant. One evening, as they stood on the balcony of the new research lab, Adrian handed her a small gift, a pen. It was engraved with the words, "For the girl who lit the way." Elena smiled, her voice soft. "You know, when we met, you couldn't even solve a simple equation." He laughed. "And now I'm helping you design an app that could change the world. Who would have guessed?" She turned toward the sunset, golden light painting the skyline. "Maybe that's what your mother meant. Success isn't about what you have. It's about who you become while trying." Adrian looked at her, quiet for a moment. Then gently, "I became me because of you." Months later, at an awards ceremony, Elena was invited to speak about her invention. The hall was filled with the most powerful people in the country, including Mr. Cole. She walked up to the stage, trembling slightly, and said, "Everyone has a light inside them. Sometimes it just takes one person to believe in it, to help them see it glow. That's what this project is about. That's the secret that changed my life." The audience rose in applause, and in the front row, Mr. Cole stood proudly beside his son. For once, Adrian didn't just see his father's approval. He saw admiration. And beside that,
something even stronger. Respect for the maid's daughter who turned a failing grade into a legacy of light.